Let me begin by saying I'm happy not only to see you all, but to answer questions y'all been asking me for the last month. Tomorrow you will find out who the operator of the New Providence landfill is going to be. The minister will make the announcement at 11 o'clock at the Ministry of the Environment, and you will get to ask him all the good questions that you've been saving up for me. You can ask him tomorrow, and of course the new operator, who I think the government believes that the Bahamian people will be quite satisfied with the choice of operators for that landfill. And we can say that one more step in solving one of the more vexing problems that's been facing the Bahamian people, one more step would have been taken towards solving that problem with the announcement tomorrow. Something else that I talked about early in the year was the appointment of the National Advisory Committee to study the feasibility of introducing local government to New Providence. And we know that local government was introduced to the Family Islands in 1996, but there are many people who've been advocating for the introduction of local government to New Providence. And of course, Prime Minister Minnis agrees with them. So this committee was appointed, and that committee is headed by Senator Raynard Henfield, and it includes individuals such as Dr. Nicolette Bethel of the University of the Bahamas, Valentino Scrooge Brown from the Hay Street Community Movement, Dr. Nicola Virgil Roll, the Director of National Insurance, formerly of the National Development Plan Economic Planning Committee, Ed Fields of the Downtown Nassau Partnership, Roderick Pinder of the Bahamas Association of Local Government Authorities, Guardian Radio's Morning Blend, Dwight Strawn is part of that committee, as is Matt Aubrey from the Organization for Responsible Government, all part of that National Advisory Committee. Now, in April, they were charged with consulting with a wide cross-section of the residents of New Providence to gauge their needs and gain some insights from them to assist in determining the best structure of local government for New Providence. I can tell you that issues like area planning, education, waste management, and community safety rated high on the kind of suggestions that they offered. And now with phase one of that consultation now in their hands, Senator Henfield says they will now begin to reach out to MPs, government ministers, permanent secretaries, Family Island councilors, Family Island administrators, and a few others who have institutional knowledge of the practice of local government. The committee expects to make its recommendations to Cabinet later this year, and of course the goal is to have local government introduced to New Providence in 2020, which will be in time for the next local government elections. The Prime Minister's been meeting with members of the public, just generally, so I can tell you that his meetings continue tomorrow, Wednesday, and they've been going very well. He's very pleased with the way that they've been going. Some of them about possible projects, but all of them, of course, are happy to be able to sit down with the Prime Minister for a while. And all of them, I can tell you, because generally I see them, if not before I see them when they come out, they are encouraging the Prime Minister to continue to work on behalf of the Bahamian people. And you know, the Prime Minister continues to say that that's why he's here, to help to build a better Bahamas, make the Bahamas better for all people, because it's still the people's time. And there's still about 2 weeks left to go. The 5th of September and the 12th, and of course, you know, just after that, the House of Assembly will return to session, but still a couple of weeks to go for the Prime Minister to meet with the public. The Prime Minister is also going to surprise a lucky group of students next Monday. And because it is a surprise, we'll all find out next Monday. But he's going to visit a special group of students next Monday for the opening of school. Last year he went to the C.R. Walker Secondary School. The member for Bain and Grantstown, who also went there, Travis Robinson, will stand in for the Prime Minister this year. And again, we'll find out where the Prime Minister is going next Monday. Now, talking about schools, some works still not complete at a few schools, but as generally speaking, the schools are going to be open. In San Salvador, all the work's there, complete. They're just waiting for the occupancy certificate. At Eva Hilton here in Oaksfield, the computer lab will be completed at the end of September, as will the pavilion. The library there at Eva Hilton is scheduled to be completed at the end of October. And I'm telling you about major works. C.H. Reeves is complete, Thelma Gibson complete, except for some electrical works, which will not stop these schools from opening. There's still some work to be done at A.F. Adley, but that should also open. Now, the Holmes's Rock School in Grand Bahama, the Low Sound School in Andros, and Staniel Key in Exumas. Those schools' work still in progress. They're not complete as yet. We don't have a definite date on when they will be complete, but the work is going well there. Again, on balance, all the schools should be open on time. Meanwhile, the teachers are in sessions across the district. They are in workshops dealing with issues like management, lesson planning, that kind of thing that they would need to be able to function effectively in the classroom. No significant teacher shortage to speak of. People have retired, but by and large they have it under control. And of course, one of the signature things about this new school year, 30,000 tablets and laptops are in hand, ready to go for primary and pre-primary students. These tablets and laptops, of course, will be loaded with lesson plans to be taught during the coming year. Now, with respect to scholarships, there are some 520 of them awarded for tertiary level institutions, locally and abroad. That, of course, is different from the 546 that were awarded to students, incoming students at the University of the Bahamas, which is about half of the incoming students. And of course, you know, there's the 1,000 full-time scholarships being made available to BTVI, and the exception is in the Family Islands, because those scholarships are for full-time students. At BTVI and the Family Islands may not be full-time, but they can qualify. They have the necessary qualifications. They'll be allowed to access those scholarships. Again, the government is very serious about educating the populace, because we all are needed to help to build this better Bahamas that we keep talking about, because we, again, need to remember that it is still the people's time. And as we await the other projects to come on stream in Grand Bahama, yesterday, and you should have seen some of this, saw the groundbreaking for the $2.5 million Maritime Center that will provide an additional 8,200 jobs for Grand Bahamians. So again, one of the things I always say is Grand Bahamians, we know that it's rough. Prime Minister and his government continue to make strides towards correcting the situation. You just got to be prepared to work because the jobs are going to be there for you. Questions?
On the school repairs, so there are no schools that are going to be delayed opening, is what you're saying?
Except for those schools that I told you about, Low Sound, Staniel Key, and Holmes's Rock. But the other schools will be open.
When will they be opened?
They're going to be. They don't have a specific time when they're going to be open because they need to complete them. They don't have a definite date for those to be open.
So this could run a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Is there a timeline?
There's no timeline on those.
So will those students be relocated?
All of those students are presently they had to be relocated to other institutions. They're going to have to continue at those institutions until these schools are completed.
Okay. Does the Prime Minister have concerns about conflict of interest regarding the fact that the new BPO chairman had previously put in a bid for his software company?
No, the Prime Minister has not indicated to me any concerns about conflict of interest, and my statement that I think I said to somebody last week, it was in the same situation. The Prime Minister concern about BPL is that it provides consistent and reliable electricity for the Bahamian people. The people who are there need to make sure that that happens. That's the Prime Minister's main concern. The day-to-day and the general superintendency of that institution is left to the minister and the board. So the Prime Minister, he wants reliable, consistent electricity. That's what he wants.
So there's nothing in place to ensure that there isn't a conflict of interest in terms of him not pushing forth?
Whatever the board has in place, and I think the new chairman spoke to that today, whatever the board has in place, whatever's in place there now, legislatively, will govern what happens. And again, the board and the minister ultimately will decide what happens with that.
Well, is the Prime Minister concerned about, BPO remaining in Des Banish's portfolio while the investigation is ongoing?
He hasn't indicated otherwise. If he did, he would have done something about it. He obviously isn't because he's still there.
Okay. Well, do you know when that investigation is scheduled to begin?
As far as I'm aware, it has begun. But as he says, I've ordered an investigation. Let the investigation happen, and we'll deal with the results of the investigation when it's complete.
Who's conducting the investigation?
The Prime Minister will indicate who that is. Possibly, I know they're having cabinet now. I'll let him tell you
So it's a
about
private
that.
entity?
It's an independent investigation.
But as far as you're aware, it's already begun.
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Is there any update on the gaming tax study that the government is doing?
No further movement on that as yet.
And nothing to report in terms of the revisions that are supposed to happen for OBAN?
For OBAN? No. And that's another one of those situations that nobody's going to rush. And when we talk about OBAN, the Prime Minister stood up in the House of Assembly and he said, listen, we made some mistakes with this thing. 101, how not to roll out a project. And so whatever's happening with that will be done carefully and deliberately.
Besides the $70,000 in NEMA financial assistance, what else is the government doing for the Ragged Island restoration efforts?
Right now, the Ministry of Works has that in hand. They're the ones who are charged with doing whatever needs to be done, whatever will be done with Ragged Island. That's in the portfolio of the Ministry of Works. At some point, I know that the carbon, Richard Branson's carbon war room was down there. Prime Minister said, I want Ragged Island to be the first green island. Can't happen overnight, so careful study before anything is done. But whatever's being done, I know that a Ministry of Works team went down there to do their assessments. Whatever's being done with that will be driven by the Ministry of Works.
So nothing concrete leading up to the year anniversary of the last hurricane?
at this point, other than what was done yesterday, I think it was. Nothing other than that at this time, no.
We had a very long lull in appointing a substantive Chief Justice, and now he's passed away. Any timeline as to when, are we gonna have to wait a long period of time before a substantive Chief Justice is appointed?
Prime Minister will determine that. He's going to take his time, as he told me. I'm going to take my time and deliberate and think about what's in the front of me. We can't say that it's going to take a month, 2 months. He wants to make sure that the former CJ is properly interred, and he says, let me do that first, and then we'll look at who the substantive Chief Justice will be after that. Right now, there's an acting Chief Justice. The wheels of justice continue to turn effectively and efficiently. That is as important as anything else. All right?
Lastly, when will the remaining payments for the Grand Buchanan be made?
The first thing that has to happen is that sale has to be concluded in 30 days. Then once that sale is concluded, all the other things will fall into place. So let's make sure that sale is concluded properly in 30 days. Then all the other things, whatever they are, once that the documents are properly executed for that sale, then that kind of information will be available. First things first. Let's get the sale executed properly, and then we can get to all the other details about what's going to happen with it.
The reports on the Exuma Four Seas explosion, has it been released as yet?
No, it's not been released as yet. I can undertake to find out what's happening with it, but no, as far as I'm aware, it's not been released as yet.
Okay, and Belinda Wilson said this week that some teachers who are coming from Nassau going to the Palm Islands still have not been given their checks to move yet. Will they be in place by next week when school opens?
Whoever should be moving should have whatever is necessary. Did she indicate whether they were in contact with the Department of Education to find out what's going on? No. I'm sure the department and the minister, in fact, because he's quite comfortable that the schools will be ready to go. Schools won't be ready to open if they have no teachers in them. So whatever needs to happen will happen to ensure that the schools are properly staffed in time for opening next Monday. All right?
Lastly, any update on the marijuana committee?
No update on the marijuana committee at this time. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.